Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of Be Freaking Awesome. I am one of your hosts, Sami Kinnison, here with Angela Belford. And today we are actually going to be revisiting a podcast topic that we've previously done that we get lots of questions about. It seems to be really popular with listeners. We're going to be talking about friendship as an adult and what does that look like. And since we released our last episode about how to make friends as an adult, Angela, you and I have both been able to see some of these things in practice, see some of the ways that maybe we're going to clarify or provide some nuance to things that we might have shared with people, and just even some new learning, some additional things along the way.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have a couple of episodes that are really popular because the guest was very popular. The guest shared it. We have a couple of our episodes that have been picked up by therapists as like, here, you want to understand attachment styles. They explain it very well in very common language. So we can kind of trace the like why those episodes are a little more popular. But this one has been a little bit surprising until I start talking to people and they're like, golly, I really want to make more friends. And I will say that I'm an extrovert. I have ADHD. I love it all. And so I was a little bit like, huh? But then I started thinking back to 2012. I was actually working with a coach. And if you've read Be Freaking Awesome, you know that I talk about grand goals. And one of my grand goals in the area of fun and play was more girlfriend time. I really probably should have said more friend time. Anyway, so I know there was a point in my life, which I would have been like 2012 was Sammy's senior year. So Josh was a freshman. So he was travel soccer. Lexi was starting travel soccer. Like it was Craytown in my
Well,
life.
also, though, me in my senior year, um, to zoom out and take the objective perspective for a moment, in some ways triggers a little bit of an existential crisis for, I think, a lot of parents when that
Right.
first child leaves. It's the, oh crap, life as we know it, as we have known it for the past 18 years is about to change. And then suddenly you're looking around at what's coming up next. It really can
Yes.
be that, like, things are different, and what does this look like to not be making friends when you're sitting on the bleachers next to somebody?
Well, and that's what I was going to say is so often I think as humans we make relationships and we make friendships based on geography. And by that I mean when we were in high school, the people that we were in classes with, we were um we became friends with them. And then when we are chasing kids around the soccer field, you end up becoming friends with those folks. And then when suddenly, like, I had a whole group of friends that I saw on a consistent basis because we were band parents and the activities that you were involved in, we were color guard parents that were gonna like I was gonna have to suddenly make an effort to maintain those friendships.
I like to say proximity than geography, because even
Proximity is a good idea. Yeah. Yeah,
the
yeah, that's a
I
better
saw a funny
clarity.
thing once that said I refer to my good coworkers as workplace proximity acquaintances, which is a mouthful, but because it was sort of this idea, like, if we didn't work together, we actually wouldn't be friends. We wouldn't really
Proximity
make an
is a
effort
great word.
to
Yeah.
connect. And this person was like blatant about calling people, nope, you're just my workplace proximity acquaintance. Um, which was like a little
Be
honest, bold, harsh. I don't know.
It's
Depends
funny
on
you
your
say that
perspective.
because I actually have heard from previous employees of the Belford group, and not tons of them, but there's a group of 3 or 4 of them that they get together at least every other year or so because they really did enjoy one another. That's not a actual tight friendship because they get together on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, but
Right.
it's neat that they get together on that basis. And oh my goodness, I cannot even believe I didn't miss this connection that we're talking about this today because when this podcast is being recorded, internet time, I am actually have scheduled a reunion of sorts. I don't know what else to call it. We're joking and calling it our pink family reunion. So I'm having a group of friends that we were in Mary Kay together. And I was in Mary Kay when I was pregnant with Josh, and he'll be 26. I actually started Mary Kay when you were 10 months old. So coming up on 30 years ago, right? That I started Mary Kay and was kind of ending my time in Mary Kay by the time I had Lexi in 1999. But I invited a group of people that I was friends with in Mary Kay, and we've kept up because of social media. But this will be the first time that many of us have been in the same proximity,
Yeah.
right? And so one of them is driving up from Texas. A shout out to my friend Liz, who is coming all the way from Austin. We planned it around her because the rest of us actually live in Northwest Arkansas. And different ones I've had different impact. Like one of them actually worked with us at the Belford group. We'd hired her as a coach. So Daphne definitely stayed a tight friend throughout these years. But others I haven't seen. And so I'm very excited about that.
Well, and
Pulling
so
together the proximity
the
friends.
proximity friends, and I think to kind of transition us,
Yep.
I find a lot of people, you find yourself in this, how do I make friends, in that kind of existential place when you suddenly, likely when you suddenly lost a group of proximity friends. So
Yes.
it could be, I see it a lot for people after they graduate high school, after they graduate college, and then they're like, oh crap, people aren't just around me all the time. I go to work and I come home and I got to actually go make an effort. When you move
Yes.
towns, when you like move from one place to another, you've got to figure out new proximity friends or new longtime friends. And I think when that transition happens, it's not to say that's the only time that you'll be asking this question, how do I make friends as an adult? But I think it's a common time is when that group of proximity friends falls away. And it can risk you asking all these questions about yourself, like, is it me? Am I a bad person? People don't want to be friends with me. People don't want to connect with me. And I don't think that's true at all. And there's an element of when you can accept and identify that somebody is a proximity friend or a relationship, like that's okay. That's not a bad thing to be friends with people because of proximity. And you can make other friends as well. That doesn't have to be, it's not a character flaw with you that people aren't in a longer term relationship with you.
Well, and it's interesting because since we are revisiting in our first episode when we talked about how do you make friends, I would say that most of our advice was go find some proximity friends. Now, if we're putting in
True.
that language, because we were like, join a church, volunteer at a nonprofit, start going to the gym at the same time. Like literally, we were like, go put yourself in proximity with other humans.
I didn't even realize that.
I didn't either. Oh, and we're going to bring it back to the Harvard study, longitudinal study on human relationship, or actually human happiness, whatever the thing was. And we talked about it. We talked about it a lot in January because I had read that book. Anyway, and he actually shared about this guy that when they interviewed him at like 60, as he was retiring, he was miserable, hated his life. He and his wife had been married for 35 years. They both disliked each other, and they were like, God, this guy is like on track to like probably die early because he had no relationships. And then like 5 years later, he was completely transformed. And what he did is he and his wife separated. They didn't get a divorce. Weird. He moved into an apartment and he started going to the gym at the same time every day. And then he was like, I need people. So y'all want to go? I'm gonna have a coffee. Anybody want to go have coffee with me? And then he started inviting, and they figured out they liked old movies. So this group of gym friends started doing more and more things, including old movies and different. And then he literally, within a 5 year period, transformed himself from the least happy person in the study to one of the most fulfilled people in the study, basically by getting himself in proximity and then finding people that had common interest and really being super intentional about it. So I find that super fascinating.
Well, and I think that that's the piece, is that it's the intentionality to go from proximity friend to more.
Yep.
And so much of friendships, at least I think the way that I approach friendships, I'm sometimes really careful about who I actually share this with because I don't ever want them to view the way that I do relationships as really transactional. But sometimes in my head, I really need to make sure that I am checking some boxes of maintenance. Like, I have to get my oil changed in my car, every 3,000, 5,000 miles. There's some things that you need to do with friendships to maintain good friendships. And it's not about like checking the box because you have to do it, but it's that if I have a goal of maintaining this friendship, these are some of the steps that it's got to take to get there. Sometimes I do those things even if I'm not feeling like doing those things, because the end goal matters more to me. And so to make a 5-year long friendship, a 10-year long friendship, a lifetime long friendship, like you've got to start somewhere. You've got to make a connection. And you got to sometimes start at proximity friends. Even I will say in my life right now, I think I only have one lifelong, I put air quotes around lifelong friend, because it's the only person in my life that I've known since I was like 2 or 3 years old that I'm still in relationship with right now. However, this friend is not somebody who, like, since we were 3, we've been inseparable since then. We have gone through these phases where we, like, drift apart, come back together, drift apart, come back together, and it's not, even with this one, it's not like something went wrong
Mm-mm.
or
Just got
fights. It's just
busy.
life has taken us in different ways. And so, our moms were in Mary Kay together. And so we were friends when we were toddlers. Then later we reconnected. I don't know if we reconnected before high school, but I know for sure in high school.
Were you
Um,
guys in color guard or something together?
we were in color guard together, but I don't know that we were friends before that. In any
Okay.
case, we were in color guard together and then ended up going on a senior trip together where we both went to Europe for a week and a half ish by ourselves.
Not by
And
yourself to go visit your godparents. Come on. Your
we
parents weren't
flew
that
ac-
crazy.
we flew
Yes,
across the ocean
you
at
did.
18, at 17. Both of us were 17, all by ourselves. Got to small town Netherlands on our own.
Yes.
Um, anyway, then uh, college, we went to different colleges. So we sort of, it was funny is that like our senior trip was like a really intense moment. And then that was like all right, great. We'll take some time apart for a while. Not on purpose. We tried to keep up during college. We saw each other a few times. And then recently, through motherhood, her and I've reconnected back together. And so that lifelong friendship, though, I can call it a lifelong friendship, not because I have done the work every single day for 29 years, but because we accept that there are seasons and we don't feel bad that we have seasons apart from each other. I'm trying to extrapolate some of the lessons that you can learn from this
Yeah.
long story. Um, and we're intentional. And there was a moment where when she was pregnant with her first, she reached out to me and was just like, "Hey, we've not talked in a long time. And I know you've got a couple of kids that are not, not that old. I'm pregnant now. Let's connect. I'd love to have more mom friends and people who get it." And so now we've been able to reconnect. And it's not just about motherhood, it's about our love of reading. And it's about our husbands
Mhm.
are pretty similar people. And when they were moving into a new house, she told her realtor, "I want a house that's basically exactly like Sammy's. Can you find me that house?" I don't know. It's all sorts of things. We even figured out we both bought similar houses. We both bought the exact same kind of car. There's like 4 or 5 things where it was like, wow, we are like in the market for the same things at the same time. We're like, you
You
could
guys
get,
are a marketing dream,
yeah, I'm like,
because
can we divide and conquer research on like products that we need to buy since we both deep dive these products? In any case,
M&M's, my favorite, millennial moms. Let's go. I love them.
so having that friendship though is about intentionality. It's about I also, this other thing I saw recently, that penguins do this thing called pebbling, which is for their friendships. When they find a nice pebble, they will bring it to their friend and be like, "Here, I got a cool pebble for you." And there's this joke that when you're sending like reels and memes and things like that to your friends on social media, it's our modern form of pebbling and our social media form of just being like, "I saw this cute thing and I thought of you. Ching. Like, here's a little pebble. Here's a little pebble. Here's a little pebble."
I
And
have a
that's a
friend who
way, yeah.
regularly sends me the only way that introverts make friends is an extrovert finds them and takes over their life. And she sends it to me like 2 or 3 times a year. Like,
That's so
look, here's
funny.
another one. Anyway, so that's funny.
So, what are some
Pebbling.
other thoughts or tips on
Yes.
friendship?
One of the things I recently there was somebody I met proximity at church that I really liked, and we were chatting, but we were also supposed to be greeting. And so she's in the middle of telling me a kind of an intense story, and then other people walk up and hugging us, and then she's like, "I gotta go. I'm sorry." And so I went up to her the next week and I went, "I want to hear the rest of that story. Can we go to coffee or lunch?" And so we schedule lunch. And I said, I don't understand why people find this so hard. Like I said, "Can we have lunch?" And you were like, "Sure, that sounds great." There's not a lot of opportunity for rejection because most humans I know, well, I mean, when it's to the point that the director of the CDC is declaring that there's a loneliness epidemic, for goodness sakes, I'm pretty sure you're pretty safe that you're not going to get rejected. I'm there can be a whole thing, but but there it's a pretty low incidence of rejection, right? And so um but she said, you know what bugs me is people will do this. They'll be like, "Yeah, let's grab coffee, let's grab lunch." Number one, people say that all the time, but don't say pick a date, pick a time. And then when they do, strike one, some people don't ever pick the date or time. Strike two is then they pick the date or time and then they're like, "Oh, I can't today." And things happen. I'm not saying that they don't. Like I got stuck at work. I had scheduled coffee with somebody and I was like, "Oh gosh, I forgot to put travel time and I'm supposed to be there in 10 minutes and I'm 30 minutes from where you are. Shoot." And she's like, "Oh, praise the Lord." That happens. I'm not saying it doesn't, but is that the norm for you, that you just cancel on things? And maybe you cancel because you're like, "I'm afraid to talk to somebody today. I don't know what we'll talk about." There could be any number of reasons, but when you do that, then that you just are removing that opportunity to decide to actually make a friend, because somebody has to ask and somebody has to reciprocate.
So to be a teeny little bit of a devil's advocate, or maybe just like the other side of the coin, um, on one of those points at least, there are occasions where I have somebody who will be like, "Oh my gosh, you and I should go grab coffee sometime."
Right.
And it may not be somebody who
You want to form a
I
relation, or you
want
feel like
to
there's alignment.
form. Yeah, there's not always alignment. And or if I'm in a season where I've got limited energy, I know I've got like these four people that I can be kind of connecting with. It's this crazy thing. I can keep five plants alive. Um, that period that it, mm, I can keep five plants alive. Period. The end. I have tried to keep six, seven plants alive. And when I end up with seven plants, like three of them will die and the other four are suffering. And I have found that there are some times where I have a limit to the amount that I can spread myself,
Sure.
because then I'm spread too thin for everybody. And so I definitely have had seasons where it's, if somebody, I am not the one who's going to say, we should go get coffee with somebody that I may not have the time to connect with. But then, two, I'm going to leave the ball in their court. If they say, let's
Yeah.
go get coffee, let's go get lunch,
Yep.
I find it to be kind of rude to be like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds so nice. I don't have capacity for a friendship with you right now. So, pass." Like, I'm not really going to respond that way. I'm
Well,
probably going to
that
respond to be like, "Oh, that sounds nice." And then keep the
yes.
conversation moving
Yes.
without,
Yes.
I'm not going to be the person who's prompting a date and time. I
Yes.
have had situations where somebody else, then I could tell they were pursuing friendship with me, where they're like, "No, really, I want to get to know you. When are you free?" And that was different. I really had to like, ooh, I have been on the other side of this and I want to really honor the person who's like, "No, I want to get to know you. I want to pursue the friendship with you. I'm not just gonna make a statement and move on." Like, "Okay, great. I will add some capacity. I'll figure out how to go have coffee and hang out with this person who is really trying to make an effort with me." But I don't give away my time to everybody.
I didn't. Yeah.
And yeah, and
That's
so I've
that's
been that
hilarious.
person though that's like, I'm not going to set the date and time because
Yeah.
that can be, but I'm not upset by somebody else. I like the sentiment. That's great. I love that you think that that's great. I also have another friend that her and I, we grew up at church together, and different things. And her and I have like similar intersecting things. We see each other all the time. We're like, we really do need to go get coffee or lunch or dinner or something sometime. And we're like, no, I really do want to. And we've tried to schedule it a couple times, and we don't feel bad that it doesn't actually happen. My question is, why is it a pet peeve? Can it just be a thing? Can it just be like, it's okay? Some people do that, some people don't. That's really where my pushback is on the pet peeve part of it.
I was like, you went way all around the mulberry bush. And I was like, I never said you should give away your time because 90% of the people aren't going to follow up and give you a date and time. Number one. Sorry.
It's
Um,
true.
I just don't think you should say it. I think you should say what you mean and mean what you say.
I
So,
think that's fair.
um, because there was somebody recently who said, "Oh my gosh, I bet it would be super fun to go do happy hour with you guys." That is a statement. That's a statement, and it's a lovely sentiment. They didn't say we should go. Maybe I don't like it because they say we should go, or let's go
Mm,
get coffee or something. I'm like, if you say let's go get coffee or lunch, let's grab dinner, then follow through, or don't say it. That's my pet peeve. Don't say it. Just say, "Oh my
mm.
gosh, dude, it would be so much fun." And here's the thing: is that there have been probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I was like, who do I really like? And I thought of somebody. And I'll tell you the reason why I like them so much is because they're the only people in my close circle of friends that make me feel like my life is not chaotic and that I'm not busy because they are always more busy than I am. They always have more things going on. So I love hanging out with them because my life seems simple and easy compared to theirs. And so I literally just called her up one day and said, I need more you in my life. And so I pursue it, and I don't feel bad that she has a couple of times now started saying, "Hey, happy hour, blah blah blah." But a lot of the time I'm like, "Nope, I'm the one that wants you in my life, so I'm going to pursue the relationship with you." So
Oh,
anyway,
but that right there, there was a social media trend for a little bit that I hated. I hated. So this is our don't do this advice. It was the like watered plant challenge, or I don't even remember what it was,
oh,
but it was this
oh,
idea of like basically
yes,
stop reaching out to your friends and see who reaches out to you, and that's how you know who your real friends are. And I was furious.
that's
Number
so
one,
freaking transactional.
it's too transactional. It's too transactional. Number two, I think that started to come out like right in the season, like right after I had a baby. Like I think I either was 9 months pregnant or had a 1 month old, something like literally within that 2 month window. And I was like, if any of my friends right now are going to abandon my friendship with them because I'm not reaching out to them in this moment, then I guess I'm losing all my friends because I'm so in it right now. I'm practically drowning. And if somebody is like, "Well, why aren't you reaching out to me?" Bleh. I'm like, "Then you know what? Great. That's not a friendship we need to have." And I just think that the don't do that. It's not helpful for anybody. There's so much of life that you get what you put in. And if you are standing around waiting for somebody to hand you good friendships, you're not going to get handed good friendships. You are going to get what you put
Bam.
in. You have to put something in, make a deposit. And I think the more deposits you make, the investment will grow. It's compounding interest. Basic, you're going to become a millionaire by 55 if you start making your investments now and you let the compounding interest grow.
Hmm.
That's a financial podcast, but you make the metaphor about your friendship. When you start making these little deposits now and you let the interest of time grow, you will have
Hmm.
beautiful friendships. But if you stand around and cross your arms and say, why isn't somebody my friend? You're not going to get anything. You're going to get more. You're going to get what you put in. And what you got put in was complaining, discontentment, frustration, negativity. And you're going to get more of that. So, what can you do instead? And how can you be the friend that you want? Because I think that that makes a huge difference is to be the friend that you want. Because as you start to be the friend that you want, you will attract people and you will end up in more friendships where it becomes reciprocal.
Hmm. I
Got on a
love
little bit of a
that.
soapbox there.
No, I love it because back in December when I was in Ohio with um, my aunt's, when she was in the hospital and everything before she passed away, I I have core close friends that were like checking on me every day, and checking in and calling and stuff like that. But I had a friend that was pretty new friend, and she just called me one day and was like, "Hey, miss you. What's up?" I think we'd been to coffee 2 or 3 times. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what's going on in my life." And you just dumped like a big giant bucket of warm water in my, life. Thank you so much for calling. And then when I was in Panama, she and I jumped on a Zoom coffee together. And anyway, and she's just been inspiring me on and she's a little bit older than me and changed towns, and just how she has just jumped in and then also just really nurtured our friendship has been very rewarding to me. And I'm like, see, I'm not the only one. There's Holly's doing a great job of working on friendships too. So, um,
And
yeah,
maybe
I
for a
love that.
season, you're the nurturer of the friendship,
Hmm.
and that's okay. If you
Hmm.
have to ask for your needs to be met, that's not bad. I don't know
It's
why
not.
people think that that's bad to have to ask for your needs, but it's not. It's
Well,
okay.
okay, if we can flash back to last week's episode on the four tendencies and how people respond to expectations, there could be an element where someone is afraid to ask for their needs to be met because if they're a people pleaser or an obliger, then they don't want other people to meet their needs out of obligation. They would like them to meet them out of joy and out of love. And so I could see the insecurity there, just a devil's
Yeah.
advocate right with you. But,
I've heard that also about guest culture and
oh
ask
sure.
culture. And, if you needed $100 and you're standing around waiting for somebody to hand you $100, but then you ask somebody, "Hey, do you have $100?" And they say, "I don't have 100, but I've got 70." Isn't $70 better than $0? And some people would say, "No, it's not 100, so it's not enough." And I'm like, "But come on, 70 is better than 0." They're like, "But it's not 100, so it's not worth it. I'd rather
Yeah.
0. If I can't have 100, then I want nothing." And if
Well, and then
that's where
I
you're
think, oh,
at,
you get 70, and then now you can find somebody else. How much easier is it to find somebody with 30 than somebody with 100? So,
it's right.
anyway,
And so if you're welcome to have that perspective and you're welcome to continue to wait for 100. That's okay. You might have to wait longer. It's going to go faster if you ask for 100 and get 70. You'll at least have something versus nothing. But that's my own life perspective and baggage being thrown on that. I'm aware.
yeah. Well, and I would just say that the main thing is we're not judging. If you don't have capacity for a lot of friends and you're fine with
Mm,
that, that's fine. Right. I have another friend that she has a super duper limited time. I mean, super limited time. And so when she has an hour, I try to move my life around because I know she only gets an hour or two here and there with all of her other obligations. And so if she asks, I try real hard to be that
to
person
meet
for
your friend
her.
where they are.
Well, and two, because I know it's hard, number one, to ask for your needs to be met. And number two, I know I've seen her. I see you. I see that this is difficult. And there's other people that I'm like, I am tired tonight, but I said I would hang out. So I want to, that's not me not taking care of myself. That's not that's about. What that is like sometimes I do choose to be a little bit uncomfortable because I'm trying to be the friend I want to have. And I think that just makes my life. Oh, and if you're in a situation where you're fine that you don't have a ton of friends and you're okay and you're busy and you're okay, no judgment. If you're fine. This is really a podcast for people that are like, I'm sad, I don't have friends, I'm lonely, I wish I had. Please do something. Don't cry about
Or
it.
that
Do
person that
something.
says, "I want to do something, but I don't know what to do." That
Yes.
person, we're talking to you as well, hopefully giving you some ideas and some things that it's okay to be right where you're at in your journey. Every
Mhm.
10-year friendship started on day one, at some point in time.
Yep.
And it is okay to ask for your needs to be met and to take care of yourself. And maybe it's okay if you're not feeling up to going out for coffee, being like, I had a crazy day. Any thoughts on just like coming over and watching TV together? Let's just like eat TV dinner, like, eat a microwave dinner and watch TV together. Like, why not? Why not be like, hey, can we just like veg out near each other? You want to go sit somewhere in the park and scroll Instagram and send each other funny reels? Like, that's okay. That's okay to ask for that. If that's what you need, it's not the end of the world.
It's funny, I'm part of a writers group, and I loose. Like the local bookstore has a group of people that are interested in writing. We are not and we're now have kind of had enough reps with each other that they're starting to form. Like, does anybody want to go sit in a coffee shop together and write? Like, writing is a very lonely experience. You're all by yourself. Can you guys? And it's sweet to watch the just relationships be allowed to be open enough to say, like what you're saying, I want to be in the same space with another human, but I really need to get some work done. And it will I didn't realize this is called body mirroring. It's very common strategy for ADHD people to get stuff done. Apparently, my need for somebody to come talk to me while I'm cleaning my room, that I goes back to college, is actually a strategy for coping with ADHD. I didn't know. So there you go.
I have a friend who their friends all got together to read together. There was like 4 of them that all brought the book they're reading right now, put on some like lo-fi jams in the background, and they read together. And it's beautiful.
In Fayetteville, there's a silent book club, which is that is basically they come in together and read at a local coffee shop thing. Anyway, this has been awesome. Hopefully helpful.
Awesome. Yes, and hopefully you take everything in the spirit that it is intended, which is with love and encouragement, and maybe sometimes a little like big sisterly advice, like here's what you got to do. And then, also we love you and care about you. That's why we share things, not because
Absolutely.
We're trying to judge you.
Zero judgment. Wait. I'm not gonna say zero judgment. I'm gonna say limited judgment. If you whine and complain about something, I am going to judge you when you won't do something about it. If you share your story and this is the thing that is hard in your life and you don't know what to do, that is a very different perspective than someone that just whines and complains about the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then doesn't ever want to do anything about it.
I love the limited judgment zone. You know that I have been a big fan of limited judgment zones for a long time. I might say what you're doing is dumb, but I'll still love you. So
that's limited judgment.
Limited judgment. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go subscribe to our newsletter on our website. We are getting that back up and rolling, and there's going to be some extra content, books we love, maybe even a little extra video or two, maybe bonus episode content. Who knows what all is going to be in the newsletter, but you should go sign up for it at befreakingawesome.com. That's the letter B, not B-E, letter B, freakingawesome.com. Hope you guys go and have a freaking awesome day.